I recently took a trip to an old-school arcade games hall. It was quite a new experience for me, as they were no longer a big thing when I was growing up. The arcade was bustling with energy, and while wandering through the neon-lit aisles, something caught my eye. Some games had crowds around them, while others sat mostly untouched. And I'm not even talking about the anime girls themed machines. No, those were constantly occupied by guys in sweaty t-shirts. But here's the thing, the most popular games weren't necessarily the most visually appealing or even the best known. They offered something else, something more immersive, something that has a huge importance for movies and video games today. Hi! My name is Rafał Bremski and I work as a professional game designer for quite some time already. As part of this series, I will be sharing some insights about the world of game design. In this video, I want to tackle the secret factor that makes some games unforgettable. Let me tell you, there is a reason why certain games grab our attention and keep us coming back, whether it's at the arcade or at home behind our consoles. Back at the arcade, I noticed something interesting. The most occupied arcades offered something more than just joysticks and buttons to interact with the game. Interesting factor is that most of the people at the arcade were young enough to limit the nostalgia factor for the experience. Those people were going for something those arcade machines can offer that is different to an experience back at home, behind PCs or consoles. For example, there were those shooting games with plastic guns. You point them at the screen and they work just fine. But then there were games with guns that had actual recoil, where the gun would kick back with every shot. Another example is this one, that had a screen embedded into a huge sniper rifle that you had to move around to see who you're aiming at. The difference was night and day. That physical feedback made the experience more immersive, more real. And that is what kept people lining up to play. This idea of immersive feedback isn't just limited to arcades. Take the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller. The adaptive triggers bring a similar level of physical immersion to your hands. Whether you are pulling a bowstring in Horizon or feeling the tension of a car brakes in Gran Turismo, the controller physically responds to your actions. It's that same principle. The more your senses are involved, the more you feel part of the game. But why do games, even the simplest ones, draw us in so powerfully? Well, games have been a fundamental part of human culture for thousands of years. Even prehistoric people played games, whether through physical competitions, board games, or even early forms of storytelling. Mancala, for example, is a game with evidence to be played 8,000 years ago. I mean, Skull and Bones came out literally this year and somehow it feels older. Today, whether it's video games, sports, chess or cards, games tap into the same brain spot. Everyone is a gamer to some extent, even if they don't specifically play video games, because these experiences are built into who we are as humans. Games take many shapes and forms. They challenge us, reward us, and most importantly, they immerse us in experiences. But what really sets some games apart isn't just the mechanics, it's the theme behind them. Take a look at this children's book about the adventures of a chicken. Now, the fact that this book is not only filled with images and stories about the chicken, but it is also cut into the shape of an egg, it becomes more than just a book. The theme of a chicken is reinforced through every element, making the experience more immersive, more memorable for a child. The same principle applies to video games. A strong, unifying theme can turn a good game into an unforgettable experience. Take Hellblade, for example. The theme of mental illness and personal struggle is at the core of this game. The voices mechanic, where Senua hears conflicting voices in her head, reflects her psychosis, pulling the player deeper into her mind. It's not just a gameplay mechanic, it's a direct expression of the game's theme. Another great example is Papers, Please. The repetitive action of stamping papers might seem mundane at first, but it's crucial to the game's theme of bureaucracy and the moral weight of seemingly trivial decisions. But here's something interesting. How a theme is reflected in multiple elements of a game can completely change the player's experience. Dark Souls, for example, uses its punishing difficulty and mechanics like death and rebirth to reinforce its theme of perseverance and fight for survival. The world of Dark Souls feels like a place where every struggle is part of an endless, tiring journey. Now let's compare that to the Elden Ring, which uses similar mechanics, such as challenging combat and resurrection of enemies, but points them towards a different theme. In Elden Ring, the world is vast and open, and the theme is more about exploration, ambition, and the discovery of hidden truths. The mechanics are the same or very similar, but the way they are used and the elements they interact with shifts the theme, and therefore shifts player experience. Unifying themes can take the creator by surprise. As an example, Stephen King himself shared that the unifying theme caught him by surprise when he was working on the book Carrie. Or Carrie. King realized that the theme that emerged when working on the book was blood. He used this symbol in multiple ways. It is connected to injury, family ties, and a traumatic coming of age for a young girl. Blood isn't just a reoccurring element, it's the central theme that ties the story together, reflecting Carrie's psychological and physical transformation. Now let's talk about something even more powerful, a theme that will resonate with players' personal beliefs. These are the themes that go beyond just unifying a game. They speak to the personal truths and resonate deeply with our own experiences and emotions. Think of the movie Titanic. There are other movies out there that have similar story structure and impressive visuals, but somehow this movie became a cultural phenomenon due to how creators approached viewers' emotions and underlying theme of the movie. Its resonant theme is love is more important than life and stronger than death. This theme hits home for so many people because it reflects a truth that many of us hold close. From the iconic "I'm the king of the world" scene to the tragic ending, every element of the film reinforces this theme. Or consider Gladiator. Again, a movie with great visuals and amazing score, with a story that's not especially original or extremely surprising. The theme of honor, vengeance, and the quest for justice resonates with those who have experienced or valued justice in their own lives. Maximus's journey is not just about revenge, it's about restoring his honor and fulfilling his duty. In video games, The Last of Us is a masterclass in resonant themes. The first game taps into universal emotions, parental love and the fear of losing someone important. It's a theme that resonates deeply because it's something so many of us can relate to. This theme is reinforced through most, if not all, mechanics in the game. The team behind it put a lot of money, time and effort into creating the best follower AI system for Ellie, just to reinforce the theme of the game. Then, in The Last of Us 2, the theme shifts to the destructive nature of hate and revenge, showing how these emotions can consume and destroy lives. The follower system is no longer very important for the game, but now the facial animation of struggle and pain in enemy that Ellie is taking down comes into play. Both games use their narratives and gameplay to make these themes hit so hard. Red Dead Redemption 2 takes on the theme of redemption and regret. Arthur Morgan's journey is about coming to terms with his past and seeking redemption in a world that is leaving his kind behind. The game's slow, deliberate pacing and the choices you make as Arthur reflect the heavy weight of this theme. Another good example comes from the world of board games. In the game Risk Legacy, In this game, every decision you make has lasting consequences. Players are asked to alter the board with stickers, tear up cards, and make changes that are irreversible. This isn't just a gameplay gimmick, it's a powerful reflection of the game's resonant theme: war changes the world forever. But not all themes have to be serious and poetic. Helldivers 2, for instance, uses humor to create a parody of a soldier's life with its over-the-top "for democracy" catchphrases and chaotic missions. The theme is both unifying and resonant, but it is done in a way that is light-hearted and fun, showing that themes can resonate even when they are not deeply profound. Now, what happens when a game fails to reinforce its theme? Take the initial release of No Man's Sky, for example. The game was marketed with a strong theme of exploration, promising a universe full of discovery. But at launch, there was little to actually discover. The mechanics didn't support the theme, and players felt the disconnect. The game was still playable and had a lot of interesting elements, but where players felt betrayed the most was the delivery of something they cared most about. The theme that resonated with them, even before the game's release, was missing. Myths and legends have been with us for thousands of years, and they are still very much alive today. One of such ancient story is the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus, the legendary musician, descends into the underworld to rescue his beloved Eurydice. Me and my partner love this myth so much that we named our cat Orpheus, though he doesn't seem to have much might and power in him. Unless we are cooking a chicken or a shrimp, then he becomes a warrior. This myth has been retold for millennia because it speaks to the universal themes of love, loss, and the struggle against impossible odds. The journey of Orpheus reflects the human desire to defy fate and overcome the greatest challenges, even the finality of death. In the game Hades, this ancient myth is reimagined with Zagreus, the son of Hades, attempting to escape the underworld. The game incorporates the theme of defying fate into its mechanics, much like Orpheus' journey through the underworld. The reason this theme endures is the same reason certain games resonate deeply with us, because they tap into these universal struggles that have been part of human stories for thousands of years. So why do some games stick with us long after we've put down the controller? It is because they connect with us through powerful, resonant themes. Whether it's the burden of sacrifice in Shadow of the Colossus, overcoming personal struggles in Celeste, or the consequences of ideological extremes in Bioshock. These themes aren't just part of the story, they are embedded into the gameplay, the design, and the very soul of the game. For a game designer, it is sometimes really hard to answer what is the underlying theme of the game, but it's a question you have to answer as a designer. A theme can be a short sentence, specific emotions, or even one word, but you have to find this theme in your work and make sure every element of the game reinforces it. Not all themes have to be resonant, but if you can find one that will resonate with the player on a personal level, your game will strongly benefit from it. If you found this exploration of themes in video games interesting, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to stay updated. And tell me in the comments, what is the game that resonated with you on a personal level? I would like to hear your thoughts on this. Thank you for watching this video and see you in the next one. Bye!